All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Granite Files. So, I thought I would update you guys on what I've been up to for the last few days. I have been sitting in court observing cases. Now, why would I do this, right? I don't have a case, so why would I put myself through this? Well, the reason being is that I've never been in court before. I don't know how people dress. I don't know how the attorneys dress. I don't know how the attorneys speak to the judge. Do they say Your Honor or do they say Judge? So I did not know what to expect, but I was encouraged by several individuals that I really should go and sit in court and observe in order to prepare for my case in a few months. And I found it to be extremely useful. One, I learned how long does it take for me to get to the court? What is the screening process like for me to go through security? And how do the attorneys dress and speak to the judge? All of these things was very important, and I think it kind of helped shake off some of my nerves, so I know exactly what to expect. So let me update you on my experience because I think it's kind of funny in a sort of way. So the first day I went on Monday, I get there early and I pull up. I start getting out of my car and I'm checking my purse to make sure I don't have anything in my purse that would be a problem for me getting through security. And funny enough, I had a small pair of scissors in my purse. I can't remember why they were in there, but they were in there. And so I, realized I need to go take these back to my car. And as I was kind of fumbling through my purse, who do I see but the county manager? And he had a big smile on his face and said, "Well, hey there, stranger. How are you doing?" So I told him, I'm doing well. He complimented me on my dress, and we had a good conversation. I did ask him who was the official who was keeping fluoride in the drinking water. And at one time, he kind of said in a way he doesn't know, but he didn't fully say it. So he halfway said he didn't know and halfway, didn't want to commit to that answer either. And I explained to him that I do not believe that the County of Henrico is in compliance in regards to the waterworks permit. And essentially, I think they're violating the conditions of the waterworks permit. And he was he listened to me very tentatively. And so, yeah, it was a good conversation. And so I proceeded to head into court, go through security, and, sit down. I just chose a random courtroom to sit down and observe. The first day was rather boring. It was like watching paint dry, and I only lasted maybe 45 minutes. So I got there at 9, and about 9:45, 9:50, I had enough. It was painful sitting through court. Now, just for giggles, I want to explain to you that I wasn't sure how I should dress when I went in. I knew that you should not wear anything low. I knew, you don't want to wear spaghetti straps to show your bra, no flip-flops. They list, on the website how they expect for you to dress, but they don't tell you what kind of colors to wear, right? There's no restrictions on what kind of colors. Well, being that it's July and it was 80 degrees out, I dressed like summer. I dressed like I was going to a summer tea party with my friends to have tea and crumpets. And I thought I would show you what I wore just so you can get a good visual. So I thought, this is appropriate because it covered my shoulders. It's got a structured collar to it. The length was fine. And boy, did I get a lot of compliments on this dress. Like I said, the county manager complimented me. I explained I'm going to court to, see what it's like to prepare. And I mentioned, I'm not even sure if I'm dressed fine. He said, "You're dressed just fine." I got compliments from the deputies. I got compliments from the attorneys. I got compliments from the clerk. I got compliments from strangers left, right, and center. But I realized, as flattered as I was to get compliments, I stood out quite a bit, to say the least bit. I noticed that everybody in there, those that were attending court, the attorneys, they all looked like they were dressed like they were going to a funeral. They're wearing winter colors, dark black, gray, brown. And I thought, okay, we don't wear summer color. We don't wear bright colors in court. That's not really the theme. Was there one or two people wearing something like that? Yes. Was there one or two attorneys? Yes. But for the most part, they were dressed like, they're going to a winter funeral. So, day 2, trying again. I had decided I was going to go 3 days in a row in order to get a feel for it. So, day 2, the summer tea party dress, that I decided to scratch that and decided to go with something a little bit more subtle and wear my black dress with white polka dots. Again, it's got a little cute little belt, and then I had a burgundy plain color sweater to wear with it. Thinking, okay, I'm gonna blend in, right? And I did better than the first day, I gotta say. But as I was walking to the courthouse, the news was there in order to cover a particular case. And I suppose they really liked that, black and white polka dotted dress, because they panned on me the whole time, panned on me going into the courthouse. And people did, comment on how I was dressed, right? Okay. So the day 2 court cases was much more interesting than day 1. Day 1 was like watching paint dry. Boy, was it difficult. And day 2, it was much more interesting. The first case that I sat in on, shocked me, to say the least bit. Well, so I did listen to the case where it had to do with a daycare and child endangerment. That case just got pushed to the next day, so I really wasn't interested in that. So when that was done, I went upstairs and just chose a random courtroom and explained, I was there to observe, and the deputies, was very, very nice. "Oh, sure, come on in, sit down." So the first case that I listened to upstairs definitely blindsided me, I got to say. I don't think I will give a description as to what happened, because it was very vivid. But what I will say is that it was a man that was working at an adult care center for elderly people, and was in the room on his phone, got rather excited from the content he was looking at on his phone, and then did some things that were not appropriate to do at work. The individual who was in there with him was nonverbal. Nothing happened to that person, but that person did witness some conduct that should not be carried out at work. And this gentleman got caught by several people. And so this is what he was being charged with, a certain it being inappropriate, doing 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 things that you should only do in private. So he then got I think there was some they took it easy on him. I think he was supposed to spend like a year in jail, and they gave him 6 months, something to that effect, if my memory serves me right. Okay, moving on past the shock of the first case. It definitely took me by surprise. When I heard what it was, I wanted to burst out laughing. You're not supposed to do anything like that. So I just put my hands in my face and just, looked down, in order so I could compose myself. Okay. So moving past that, I'm sitting there in my black and white polka dotted dress with my solid burgundy sweater. And who do I see coming in behind me but the Board of Supervisor, Misty Roundtree. Now, Misty Roundtree is a defense attorney, and I know that she defends juveniles. This was not a juvenile, so she was just defending just, Joe Schmo, I guess. And she was getting her stuff together. I looked straight ahead, minding my own business. And I thought, okay, I should at least, acknowledge her. So I turned around, and we're, close to each other. And I look her square in the eyes and just said, good morning. So she was very surprised to see me there, or maybe she was trying to place me. I'm not sure. But then she, kind of realized, she sees a lot of people, so I can't imagine she's going to, know who I am. It's been months since I've spoken at a board of supervisor meeting, but she did recall and smiled and said, good morning, how are you? So that was fun. And she went in when it was her turn to go up. It was an interesting case, and I'm going to kind of explain the case the best that I can from my memory. All of the details may not be exactly correct. I did not take notes, and honestly, I was just trying to pay attention more so to the interactions between the attorneys and the judge more so than the actual case. But to the best of my knowledge, this particular individual was on probation, and he was forbidden from having contact. There was a no contact order with the baby mama. And this particular individual, he had a ankle monitor on him, a GPS tracking, and he cut off that ankle monitor, destroyed it in some sort of way, managed to remove it from his body, and then went to the baby's mama house. This is what he's being accused of. He went to the baby's mama's house and broke through the door, and there was a deadbolt, broke through. Baby mama shoots him, and he nearly dies. Okay, so Misty gets up, and she has to vigorously defend her client, and she spins it in a way that made me smile. I thought, how is she going to defend this? So that was interesting. And essentially how it was phrased was, well, the mom, her client, and the mother, they have a relationship. They just, talk back and forth. He was allowed to have a conversation with the baby mama when, as it relates to the children. So, it's not like it was completely no contact. they talk back and forth. And the night where he broke through the door and he gets shot, he became very frustrated. I guess there was some, communication. Something had occurred prior to that by, I believe, text message or phone, something to that effect, and it just really frustrated him. And so he needed to, get in there and then in the middle of the night and just, break through. And so, essentially she's arguing that he just got frustrated. And so that's why the court should, give leniency to this man, And so I'm thinking, okay, what else are you going to say, right? You got to defend your client. So, props to her for defending. He just got frustrated. So I'm thinking, okay, how's this going to play out? So the Commonwealth's attorney gets up and says to the judge, Judge, this is more about just somebody getting frustrated. If you're frustrated, people break their phones when they get frustrated. People speak loudly when they get frustrated. You don't, break through a deadbolt and put a woman in fear for her life when you're frustrated, especially given the fact that this man had an ankle monitor on him and there was a no contact order that was issued. And then Misty gets back up and, defends again. And the Commonwealth side gets back up and says, to the judge, this is, Misty says, Miss Roundtree says that because he got shot and nearly died, that he's not going to commit any more crimes. Like, he's learned his lesson now that he's been shot and almost died. And so, it's almost like, we pinky promise that now that he's almost lost his life because of his conduct, like, he's not going to commit any further crimes. So I thought, okay, I don't know how you can predict the future, but again, this is her client. She has to vigorously defend her client. So that was interesting. And the Commonwealth side gets back up and then says some few words and then proceeds to tell the court, read this guy's rap sheet. And I can't remember specifically what it was, but it was like, I don't know, gun charges, robberies. I don't remember specifically what it was. So, I really can't say at this point. Cause like I said, I didn't memorize it, but we'll just say they were charges. And so they're reading, he was been charged of this, which was, from my memory, a felony. Various felonies. He was charged of this. 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 And I'm thinking, okay, now everything makes sense to me of why Miss Roundtree is defending the county of Henrico intentionally polluting our public drinking water with hydrofluorosilicic acid. Because, she's used to defending like very heinous crimes, right? And, that's her side, is we're going to defend. And, if the county of Henrico, is allegedly intentionally polluting the public drinking water with a dangerous poison called hydrofluorosilicic acid, she's going to defend it because, that's what she does. She defends criminal behavior. It just made so much more sense to me as to why that's her go-to, I guess what I'm saying. Instead of wanting to have like a sit down conversation, which was what I was hoping to do. When I saw that one of the board of supervisors is an attorney, I thought, well, I can just show, here's the state law, here's what the waterworks permit says. This is unlawful, this is dangerous, this is unreasonable, because the definition of a pollution in Virginia is something that is it's an unreasonable risk. We have a federal judge determining that water fluoridation is an unreasonable risk. We have the FDA banning fluoride. The fluoride doesn't promote the potability of water. It doesn't promote pure water. So I'm thinking, because Miss Roundtree understands the law, that we can work this out, and then she would, like, in my mind, I thought, she's going to put an end to this in 1 week. But no. The name of the game is to defend all criminals, right? Like criminal acts, all things wrong, and I'm just thinking, okay, that's what makes a lot of sense to me. And at one point while Miss Roundtree was there, the family was sitting right next to me, the mother and father of this defendant. And I have to wonder what Miss Roundtree was thinking as to why I was there, because I'm sitting with the family. I wonder, she may have thought, like, is she with the family? Like, why is she here? Does she have a case? What's going on? So she at one point says to the judge, Judge, mom and dad are here, and support this gentleman and so forth. And she looks at me, she looks at, so that was kind of funny. I would love to know, what was drumming through her mind. Maybe she, could care less that I was sitting there, but, which is probably most likely. She's there for her client. What does she care about me for? But, anyway, it was very curious. So, after this particular case was over, I listened to another case, and then the next case was on a monitor, so I just went into the next courtroom next door and listened to a few cases, and then I left. So day 2 was very interesting, very exciting to see Miss Roundtree in action. It was very good. I had always wondered, how she conducts herself when she defends her clients. And I think she was effective. I think she was really good. I would love for her to be on my side. I would love for her to give that same energy to her defendant who was forbidden from having certain types of contact with this defense, broke off an ankle monitor, broke down the deadbolt, came in, put a woman in fear for her life to the point where she got shot, had a rap sheet the mile long. Like, Misty could vigorously defend that if she could only put in that much energy to providing pure water that's safe for pregnant women and babies to ingest. That would be fantastic, right? But apparently that is not something that she is interested in at this time. Anyway, I mean, I don't see any evidence of that anyway. So, day 2, check. All right, day 3, we get to this morning. Now, at this point, I realize how the attorneys are dressed, and I notice they're all wearing blazers, right? So I thought, okay, I've got on a appropriate length black dress underneath, and I've got my blazer, and I decided, because I am not going to a funeral, I did wear jewelry that's a little bit, summery, just because I am just observing. So I don't need to, look completely boring. So I go in, and today I thought, one of the issues that I've had going in every time I've ever gone into the courthouse is you can't bring in your own bottle of water. They don't sell water. I don't even think that they would sell water that's fluoride free anyway in the vending machines. But they don't. They forbid you from bringing in water. So day 1 and day 2, I was stuck with drinking out of the water fountain. And I got to say, I drank a bit of water out of the water fountain on day 1. And that night and the next day, the water did not agree with me. And I normally don't have, stomach issues, but I did have stomach issues. And the only thing I can think of was the water. It tasted terrible. I mean, very terrible, very disgusting, because I'm used to drinking distilled water. So then when I drink the stuff that has all these chemicals in it, it's like, ugh. So yesterday I just barely could have just one sip. I was just parched. So today I thought, okay, I'm going to see if they're going to let me bring in my water bottle. There's some laws that's changed in Virginia, so they're more relaxed when it comes to bringing in electronic devices. So I thought, well, maybe I can bring in my water bottle. So I put some distilled water in this is a little baby Coke bottle. And I went through security, and security did in fact forbid me from taking in my own water. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Board of Supervisors, one of their arguments is, well, if you don't like the fluoride in your drinking water at home, you can just buy bottled water. You can just take bottled water with you everywhere. We're not coercing you into, ingesting fluoridated water. Well, I go into the court, I'm stuck with fluoridated water. That is coercion, in my opinion. I'm forbidden from bringing in fluoride-free water, and I find that to be astounding. So the deputies, they, prefer that you either throw away your bottle or take it back out to your car, but you are not to take it through the past the security. Okay, so that really, bothered me quite a bit, right? The claim is just take bottled water everywhere you go, and you can't, okay? The court will not allow you to do this. So that's probably going to be something that I bring up when I go to court, and I can't take this empty bottle in, so I'll have to take a picture and have it and show, the judge if I want to discuss that. So anyway, today I wanted to listen to a particular hearing that had to do with it was a veterinary board of veterinary medicine, but it wound up being canceled because apparently both sides did not agree that they would actually meet today. But I sat in the courtroom kind of waiting for this case to happen for some time, from 9 to, 9:45. And I'm wearing my, court attire. I'm not dressed for a tea party. I'm dressed, not dressed, like I'm going to, I'm not wearing my sweater. I'm wearing a structured blazer, right? So, because I got to prepare for court. I need to, I can't look like a rookie when I go in there. That's the goal. So I'm sitting there, and there's 2 attorneys at the end of the bench. This is very small room. You can hear people. They're very close to you. So we got one attorney sitting in the front row, one attorney sitting in the row right behind him, and they proceed, this is what I believe is happening from my ears, they proceed to talk about me. And they are getting the biggest kick out of the fact that I'm wearing a blazer. Apparently, when I came in Monday, Tuesday, I stood out, remember? you kind of stand out when this is what you wear to court. Okay. So if y'all don't want to stand out, don't dress like this because you will definitely stand out. Got a lot of compliments, but I'm not really interested in standing out. So I guess I stood out to the point where they took notice that, sorry guys, I didn't mean to bump the table. They took notice that I'm wearing a blazer and that, I'm trying to look like an attorney. And so they start chatting back and forth and look at her. And the one guy looks and stares at me, looks at me up and down. They talk back and forth, look at her. The other guy looks at me, stares at me up and down. Look at her wearing that blazer, trying to be a lawyer. Da 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 da, like a bunch of schoolgirls, And I thought it was a little funny. I thought, okay, I guess I deserve a little bit of teasing, because they just think it's comical. Like here are these mere peasants trying to, figure out how to navigate the court, and they just think it's just the cutest thing in the world, and just proceed it to just back and forth, da 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 da, stare, ba 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 ba, stare, da 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 da. Well, it went on long enough that I started to resent them for making fun, having a laugh at my expense. So I just looked over at them with my, guys, I can hear you. I'm right here. Literally, I'm right. Like, I'm very close to you guys, so I can actually hear what you guys are talking about. And it didn't seem to stop them at first. They continued. I guess, the look of saying, like, stop, wasn't enough. So they continued to go on. And then I looked at them like, come on, guys. Like, that's rude to, have a laugh at my expense, whispering back and forth right in front of me. Have you no couth? Have you no manners? So that was honestly the most exciting thing that happened in court today. There was some cases, but, the typical drug charges, DUI charges, and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my experience. And I hope that, you guys found this helpful. If you have to go to court and you want to, blend in and, look official, if you want to look like the peasants, they wear sweaters. The peasants, some of the men wear suits that were going in, but for the most part, the female peasants, they were just wearing, sweaters. I didn't see the females wearing any blazers, because why would you? Like, blazers are like largely ugly, and you kind of, some of them, like, they look like a man, they're not very attractive, you know what I'm saying? So, if you're a peasant, it's fine. But if you're trying to level up, like I'm trying to do, because I'm going, I'm pro se, so I have to be, I'm representing myself, and I'm going up against another attorney. So I don't want to go in looking like I'm going to a tea party. I need to, look professional. So I do have a outfit all picked out for court. I've had it for some time. I would not be wearing bright, dangly earrings or anything like this. It's actually going to be, much more subtle than this. But gosh, I mean, today it's July. So this just makes me feel better, and when you go to court, it's important to feel good, right? So you should feel good and feel confident. That is the key point. So I probably will never fit in exactly like the other attorneys, but I don't mind. That's okay. I rather just feel confident. I think that what matters is, are you dressed cleanly? They apparently, a lot of them, they want you to cover your shoulders. I noticed that that the attorneys, their arms were covered. So yeah, and then the subject matter, the substance of your argument, that's what really matters. And I will say this, I will let you guys in on another piece of information. So when I spoke at the Board of Supervisors, I always wrote up a speech before I went in to be succinct, to get my point across. And it's helpful in case you get nervous, you have the piece of paper to read. And I was prepared to write up a 3-5 minute opening speech for court. And I did notice that the attorneys, when they were making their case, whether it was the plaintiff or the defendants, when they were kind of giving their opening statement, they were reading from a piece of paper. So they had written it up exactly what they wanted to say. They're reading straight off of it. And, they're being very clear and concise for the court. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. And then when there's some back and forth, obviously there's going to be, one party says one thing, you're going to respond. You're not going to be able to have anything written up for that. So you need to know what you're talking about, and you need to know your material. So anyway, that is it for today. I hope that you like this video. I am going to take a nap. It has been raining. I, was running back and forth in the rain, so I'm my hair is a little bit disheveled as opposed to what it was this morning. But I wanted to share with you my experience while it was still fresh in my mind. And I will give credit to those who really encouraged me to go and sit in court. I did not want to do it. I really, really did not want to do it, but one viewer in particular said, you really should, so you know what you're getting into. And then a friend who's a retired police officer of 30 years, detective, has taken an interest in this case and really encouraged me multiple times. I mean, he really, really encouraged me. And so I appreciate that. I did need that encouragement in order to get through the doors of the court. So thank you much for everyone who's been supporting this. It really has been a collective effort to get where I've, to get this far. And so that is it for today. If you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, share it with somebody else, and I will see you next time at the Granite Files. Bye, guys.